All right, go. Okay, the P200 has a fantastic Sony image module. It gives you 30 times zoom, great for any size room. It's great in low light and has awesome color rendition. On top of that, we have our BirdDog NDI processing engine, which gives you the highest quality pictures at the lowest latency. It's compatible with any NDI device on the planet and just gives you the best outputs. We have our brand new user interface with NDI version 5, which gives you waveforms and vector scopes to make sure you're properly exposed. It also gives you unlimited control as far as color control and using your camera. In addition to this, it sounds strange, but we can do pan, tilt and zoom at the same time. Try some other cameras, they can't all do it. The P200 is a fantastic camera that's got every type of connection you could want, from NDI with power over Ethernet, SDI, HDMI, any control interface. It's got a great big tally on the top. It's a really great camera. How to do with the time? And the cool thing is, for a limited time, if you buy 3 P200s, you get a free PTZ controller.
Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is BirdDog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios, it's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. You know, like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat, and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? You're just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, GoWeb? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. Feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping on by today at the BirdDog Live Show. I am BirdDog John for the second last show of the year. Hopefully you are doing well. Now, as always, as per my tradition, I'm going to check in and make sure that I can hear myself on YouTube, because this would all be for naught if I couldn't do that. So, all right, cool. It is there. Nice and loud, and this beautiful RE20 is doing its job. So, how's it going, everybody? Hopefully you're doing well. As I said, I am BirdDog John, and I'm looking forward to spending the next hour or more with you. Second last show of the year, and so there's lots to be excited about, lots to reminisce about, and we're going to do a lot of that on Thursday's show when we have some of the BirdDog guys join me for a little bit of a chin wag and catch up on how things have been and where we're going and the things that we're excited for 2023. Just kind of do a bit of a wrap-up. So be sure to join us again on Thursday at 11 o'clock for that. That will be definitely a unique show, that's for sure, because I haven't done a roundtable with the BirdDog employees in quite a while. So whoever's available will show, and it'll be a good time. So let me jump over to this machine now and see what's going on in the chat. So this is the wrong machine. Okay, here we go. What's going on, Samuel? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that, Mr. AV Manager. You'll have to tell me a little bit more about that, what the AV management position looks like for you. And hey, what's going on? Hello, John. Happy to attend your live. I'm happy that you attended my live as well. Thanks for coming by. Now, I've been monkeying with some of the settings in. Actually, I changed out one of my cameras, which is then I've been like messing with settings this morning, fairly briefly actually, because I got into the office a little bit later because I was up for a few hours last night working on something for HQ, and of course they're awake when I'm asleep, so I had to make that happen. But we got it all squared away, everything's sorted out. This camera shot that you're seeing is actually a P240. It's the one that's here in my office in the States. Probably be shipping it out here shortly. But the 240 is a great camera. I've got it in kind of the, I don't know, what am I calling it? The bird's nest, the crow's nest, the dog's nest. Anyways, whatever. It's up there in the corner, and it's good. However, I have yet to like get the presets and everything kind of squared away the way that I want it. And right during Dan's video, I was running I was doing some coloration stuff on it just to get it to match with the rest of the show. So I think it's where I want it. One of the things that I've noticed is when I power cycle it, I don't have the preset set right because when I power cycle it, then the exposure goes to auto. And the exposure, the auto for the exposure is like dead center in the middle of the shot. And so if I sit here, it's fine. But then if I go outside of that, just to the left or right, then the iris or the gain cranks way up, and you get this really bright, grainy picture because it's just trying to compensate. So, anyways, I've got it squared away now where I can move around the shot, and it's not going to do that. And anyways, I've got that up here for your viewing purposes. So hopefully that's helpful. There's a little insight as to the 240, but also you get to see the 240 shot. Maybe I should make it stay on that shot a little longer, just so you can appreciate. Just so you can appreciate that shot. Currently sits there for 16 seconds. Let me stop this, and I think I can edit that here. So let's go a little bit longer. I think that will be nicer, and we'll start up the playlist again. Give it a go. All right, let's see who else is over in the chat. Hey, Transmission, good to see you again. Hey, good morning from New York City. How are things in New York City? We get mixed reports over here in Michigan about New York City, so I'd be interested to know your take on how the city is doing in this day and age. Very mixed reports in the news. That image looks great. The image looks great. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'd put a little effort into that, so I'm glad that it is past your inspection. Hey, what's going on? From Green TV, Sanu Kumar. Really sorry if I did that that some sort of butchering. So sorry. From India's first agricultural and rural lifestyle channel and digital platform. That's pretty cool. Thanks for jumping on here. I really appreciate that. Thanks for throwing something in the chat, too. It's nice to hear from you. If you have some sort of link to the productions that you're doing over there, we would be interested in seeing some more about that. So you have India's first agriculture and rural lifestyle channel and digital platform. Okay. I would like to know a little more about that. That sounds like something we should talk about a little bit. So there's that 240, and hopefully it's a little less exposed than I guess we'll wait and see. It's a little less exposed than I think than the 200 shot, which is the camera straight forward. But so far I think it looks pretty good. It matches the vibe. Now, the other thing you'll notice, there's something blocking part of the picture, right? In the 240 shot. And that is finally a new primary light in the studio. So I bit the bullet and we purchased a Falcon Eyes, just the small one, but I'm able to mount it on the table instead of having a large tripod stand. So I can look that up for you so that you can see what it is that I'm looking at here, what I'm talking about. I just picked it up on Amazon, and I know that lots of people are anti-Amazon, but it was relatively inexpensive, and so far so good. So let me throw this up on the chat, or up on the screen so you guys can see. Chrome window, Falcon Eyes, share, and let's yoink. So this is the device that I've purchased. It's pretty straightforward. DC power, LED light, but it has a variable white balance and it has variable intensity, obviously, whereas my other box lights that I have are basically on or off. And so the way that you manipulate the lighting in the shot is by moving them around the room. And if you don't have a large studio space where you can't move them back far enough, or if they're so close they're, impeding the shot, then that becomes a bit of an issue. And so this little guy can be mounted to the table. I'm not super happy with the mount on the table yet. I'm using an old microphone stand for that. But this guy is mounted on the table, and he's a fair bit closer, which means I can turn down the brightness. It doesn't have to operate at 100% all the time. And I think that it delivers at least comparable, if not better, light than the previous one. So it cleans up the room a little bit, and we're starting to think through what this stream room might look like if we were to ever do interviews. In February, there are going to be some executives that are going to come through this office, and I would love to get at least one of them on camera. I awkwardly and not, it was pretty cheeky of me, but Dan had come to visit last February of this year, and on Tuesday morning, I said, hey, I've got a show. You want to go on camera? And he's like, okay, because what is he going to say? No. So, so we sat in here. We did a show together. I interviewed him a little bit. We took questions from the chat. It was great. The chat was like on fire that day. And it was great. But that was the final day for OBS. That was the failing in front of the CEO's eyes. So we've upped the ante. And since then, we've gone through several iterations of platforms. And of course, as you all know, I did a full 180 on vMix and melted some people's brains. And that's all due to Tom St. Clair, the legend, the man, the myth, and the legend, Tom St. Clair. What's going on, Kevin? How are you? Thanks for stopping by today. Appreciate that. Sunny and warm in San Jose, Costa Rica. San Jose, Costa Rica? I'm going to have to Google that. Good old Google Maps. Let's check it out. So, San Jose, Costa Rica. The San Jose province. Oh, beautiful. Let's go ahead and throw up so there is that 240 shot again, just for your reference. Now, interesting, I was having some issues with the 240. Okay, go ahead and share this. I was having some issues with 240 that I'll explain again in a second here, but it may just because I threw it in there and I didn't do anything to get it to work correctly. So, San Jose, Costa Rica. That's pretty cool. So in relation to Michigan, I'm up here on the bottom end of the thumb, and you are down here in probably a beautiful, sunny San Jose, Costa Rica. Well, thanks for jumping on the show. I appreciate that. That's great. Cool stuff. It's always fun to have people from all over the place, right? Join us for the show, so that's great. Transmission, the city is what you make of it, but corporate AV and video conferencing live streaming have never been busier. It's a great time to own NDI cameras. I fully agree with you on this assessment. The AV industry is blowing up, and still is, because a lot of corporations are now integrating cameras into a lot of their conference rooms and a lot of their events, corporate events. So there's a lot to discover and a lot to be involved in that AV space, and I'm really hoping that BirdDog can make a bit of a splash in that too. So we're looking forward to, especially things with wall plate, the SDM chips that are for the NEC TVs, and there's talk around us developing something for the Panasonic line. That's something Phil has talked about on this. So, there's potential to have decoders in devices that are showing on screens, which would be a big deal. Because if you can get NDI directly into the OEM device, we'll put it that way. If you can get it directly into the OEM device that's showing the image, that's a big deal. NEC was the first company with BirdDog to really, develop that into their products, and we're kind of seeing the fruits of that come around right about now. Phil might be able to tell us more about that maybe on Thursday. But he's been a champion of that whole process as well, because he's got several large installations that are looking at that as a viable option. And if those take off, that would be a big deal for BirdDog. So looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the BirdDog flavor in the AV world. I think that's something that 2023 has a lot of promise about. But yeah, it'll be great. Greetings from Paraguay again. Hey, Alex. Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for jumping on the show. Appreciate that. Hello from Green TV India. India's first agriculture. Didn't I just read this? Yes. But hello. Hello, Green TV India. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate that. The 240 also appears to be picking up less of the blue accent light. Yes, and the reason for that is because that camera is pointed the opposite direction of those lights. So if I just cut to this one, this obviously is pointed at the blue wall. So this wall is gray, technically, but I've got a blue light on it, and then there's a blue light above my head here. So then when we switch to this one, the blue is coming in off of this corner, and it's kind of coming across the skirt, but it's also hitting me a fair bit on the side. So then if we switch over, if we switch over to that 240 shot, then this shot is pointed the other direction. You can see some of that blue highlight on my skin tone, and especially if I block out the light, then you can definitely see the blue, but it's overpowered by that new Falcon Eye, which is fine, but the camera is also literally pointed the other way from those lights, and so it's not going to pick up a bunch of that colored light. It's going to just pick up basically the green, which is right here on my desk. Like if I cover this up, then it's pretty much just the Falcon Eyes and some of that blue accent. But just to give a little variety, I like this shot because the blue light over my head this way reflects off of like the black and the silver and stuff. So I think it gives a nice addition to the hair light, which is on today, by the way, NetHab. But I managed to turn it on before the show started. So, I'm growing right before your eyes. I'm evolving. This show is going to new heights of professionalism by turning on the lights prior to going live. Falcon Eyes TD lights are awesome. We own 5 of them. You can basically tape them wherever you need them. Oh, that's cool. Greetings from India. Go, Web. I was wondering when you jump on here. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. You made it into my new intro video because you're on every show these days, so I had to put you in there. That Ember mug, keeping my coffee nice and warm. Actually, is it? Or is it? Yeah, it's okay. It's on. Sometimes I pour coffee into this mug, this Ember mug, and it doesn't turn on. So then I leave it accidentally, usually, for 30 minutes or an hour, and I come back and the coffee's cold, and what's the point? What was the point of using this mug if it's not going to keep it warm, right? You should check out the TD lineup. They are flexible LED panels, awesome quality, super lightweight. All right. You've convinced me. Falcon Eyes TD. Yoink. Falcon Eyes. Oh, they're not really on here. Let's go here instead. Falcon Eyes. So I really like, the big one. That's pretty cool. But it's almost $400. Excuse me. Man, I'm drinking coffee this morning. Here we go. So these are the box lights with you can get the eggshells on them, or it comes with one. Oh, that's a pricey light. But let me add this to the stream. Present. I'll close this down. Whoopsie. Present, screen share, Chrome tab, and present. Okay, so here is one of these 24 TD X, in this case, 150 watts. It says Roll Flex LED light with honeycomb grid. What? Hang on. Oh, snap. That's cool. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really neat. I love that. Smart. Yeah, that's smart. I hadn't even seen these. How did I miss this? But you can put them up on like the walls and stuff. And here's another one. That's so cool. What a great idea. LEDs, that's kind of the point, right? In my I have a 8-year-old daughter, and in her room, she has one of those like semi-loft beds, that kids have. So it leaves room open underneath her bed to put books and have bookcase and a place to play and whatever. And then her bed's just a few feet up. It's only 4, 5, or 6 feet up. It's not that. It's only it's less than me. So I think it's like 4 feet tall. Anyways, it's kind of like a loft bunk bed or whatever. Well, underneath, she wanted to be under there and read, but obviously the light that hangs in the middle of her room is not going to work because the loft bed is going to block out the light from the ceiling. So I put an LED strip of lights with a 3M backing on it, and I just, put it up there, and then I wired it up. And it has a variable light brightness, but also I put it on a part of my smart house, and so I'm able to turn it off and on by my phone and give it commands if I need to, or add it to scenes or whatever we're going to do there. And that works really well, but they're super thin, right? They're LEDs, and it's just a little strip. And it makes total sense that if you have the versatility of LEDs and not giant light bulbs, then why wouldn't you make it as thin as you possibly could? So that makes total sense. I do like this disc, this Falcon Eye that I got, because it's pretty light. The brick on it is crazy heavy, but it's pretty light, and there's a fair bit of versatility, and you can run it off of one of those Sony batteries. So we could grab I wonder if the battery compartment from the Ninja would work on this. I mean, that would be kind of pointless. But if it would, then it would confirm that that's the type. Actually, I think I have a battery. Wonder if this thing would charge the battery if it was plugged into DC. So I think I have a battery. Strange story. Somebody at Bird Dog who lives in Norway purchased a camera, and he could only find it on eBay in the States. And so he shipped it to our office. He bought it, shipped it to our office, and then I boxed it up and shipped it to him. But he said, don't ship the battery because it's lithium and they're going to do all sorts of crazy stuff with, having that shipped across. Which I actually think you can take camera batteries on airplanes. You just have to check it, right? You have to put it in your backpack. It has to be in the pressurized cabin. So I don't think that would be an issue. But anyways, he had us leave it here. So it's just sitting on my desk because I don't have the heart to throw it away because it's probably a halfway decent battery. Well, now I should see if it works in here or in the Ninja. And maybe it'll give me a little versatility when it comes to that. Hey, great. So those TD lights, that's really cool. Thanks for letting me know about that. See, this is why it's so valuable to have the chat ongoing and you guys suggesting stuff, because I would not have known that. It's a warm 32 degrees here in Chicago. So if you don't understand sarcasm, 32 degrees could be warm, but not how Kyle is referencing it at this moment. And that is true about here in Michigan, too. Let's take a little look-see. It's 27 degrees, so I got you beat. We're below freezing over here. Now, crazy talk. Thursday night and Friday, we're supposed to get 5 to 8 inches of snow, just in time for Christmas, and just after my family gets into town, well, the ones that are flying in. So I'm going to pick them up on Thursday, and then it will dump snow on us overnight, and my relatives and niece from Texas, I believe, will be elated to see that much snow outside. So we're really excited. Perfect timing. Couldn't have been better. Be safe out there, folks, especially for those of you hanging out here in the Northwest. I never know it. In the States, technically, we're like central states, but this isn't really the West, as far as I'm concerned. The West is like the Dakotas. The West is like Seattle, not even the Dakotas. That's more central. We're like central east almost, because we're between the central states and the eastern states. I don't understand how these Americans broke up those states and call them what they do, but I'm not going to pretend like I understand the Americans anyways, because I really don't. I'm Canadian at heart, and I get to play ignorant, that's for sure. It's a cold 11 degrees Celsius in Paris. Wow, that is chilly over there. Got to bundle up. Be sure you stay warm now. I'm happy to chat about that on Thursday, but not today. Hey, Phil. Good to see you, man. I can't wait to chat with you on Thursday. Start writing down ideas, things that you want to share with us on Thursday. Man, these glasses are brutal. Can never get them to sit straight on my face. Hi from the UK. What's going on, Michael? Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate that. Wow, there's a whole bunch of you. Phil, what's going on? It's Mr. Hadfield, everybody. I want to do some NDI with Alpha Channel. What's the best way to get Alpha Channel out of a decoder? Alpha Channel to a decoder. Decoding is showing the image, right? Encoding is making it network data. So there are several programs out there that do Alpha Channel. Depends on what you're sending across. So programs like ProPresenter 7 will actually do NDI Alpha, which is a great way to do lyrics on top of your production for your church or your community group or whatever you're doing there. So ProPresenter will do Alpha Channel encode and send that out on the wire. But to get it to decode so that you can use it, say, into a video switcher or something like that, you're going to need to find a device that does NDI Alpha. BirdDog currently doesn't. We used to back on Studio and Mini 3.0. If that is something you want to try, I actually have those firmwares. Crazy, I know. And you would be going back in time, so I can't promise you an outcome. But we used to do Alpha decode on, and Alpha, was it encode? Anyways, at least we did Alpha Channel. We didn't do key and fill. And what the problem was is that we did Alpha, the complete Alpha Channel, but then people really wanted key and fill, and so they were hounding us for that. And it ended up that we couldn't get it in the next iteration of NDI, and so we stripped that out, and then onward and onward. So depending on the product you have, if you have Studios and Minis from the good old days, there might be an option in previous firmwares for BirdDog, but our current offering firmware on all of our products doesn't do Alpha. I don't know what to suggest there. Maybe somebody in the chat would be able to help here. What's going on, Ronan? From a chilly Ireland and Northern Ireland. Ooh, I would like to visit your country of residence. That sounds fun. Pandorica, what's going on? I was just talking about you. Hopefully you're doing well. Looking forward to some snow. Talk about news. Talk about news. What did I say? Now I can't remember. Other than the weather. Hey, thanks for putting us into your intro video. Sanaya is happy. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. Hope you're doing well, Sanaya. Thanks for jumping on. It's getting close to bedtime, though, so don't stay up too late. Hey, when can we expect updates on the cameras and play devices that will work natively with cloud? So I'm assuming you're talking about Silicon 2, the SRT update. Well, no shocker here. I can't give you a date because I'm not the one developing it. But the Silicon 2 update will come probably after a firmware update for the cameras because we will need to enable some stuff on the base of the camera in order to do that. So there'll be a baseboard update, a firmware update, and then a Silicon 2 update. I do know that there is an alpha firmware out there for Silicon 2. I typically don't touch the alphas. I let the quality assurance guy do that. But once it goes to an actual beta version, then we will definitely try that out. Now, it'll be kind of a two-step process because we'll get them to SRT, but whether or not they talk directly to BirdDog Cloud, that will be the next hurdle. There's still a few things that need to happen. First is probably a firmware update for the camera fleet, then a Silicon 2 update to enable things like HX2, SRT, a few other things. And that launch will happen in stages as well, the Silicon 2, because there's a laundry list of protocols that they want to get enabled. And this kind of comes in lockstep with other cameras in the industry because there are a lot of cameras already do SRT, HX2, but they don't do full NDI. So our claim is we will also do full NDI, have a full NDI mode, or I don't know how they're going to roll it out, or you'll have to switch it to a different mode. But it probably won't be simultaneous HX2, NDI and SRT. It'll probably be select the output that you want. I don't know. I'm guessing based on my support experience over the few years that I've been here, it'll likely be a mode that you set the camera into. But in terms of when will that update come around, I don't have a definite date. So there are several things that need to happen in place before that happens. But I do know that there is an alpha for Silicon 2 between the engineers, so it's being developed as definitely going to happen. But there's also, I think there's an alpha for the next firmware update, so they're kind of lining up, and I don't know when those will roll out officially. I will probably get an email letting me know what the timetable is of that, and I haven't gotten one yet. There you go. I want to offer a promotion to my channel for viewers and followers. I think we'll pass, bud, but thank you. Appreciate that. And, yeah, please don't. Petra, what's going on? Good day, all. What's going on? What are we talking? Are we talking Christmas gifts? I kind of got a Christmas gift, although from the company, and it was a new light, a much better light than the one that we had. So my lights are starting to go. They're starting to flicker, which is why I was like, well, it might be time to invest in something that's a little bit better. So that's the update to the studio, at least. That's not necessarily a Christmas gift per se, but the studio has better light, and it helps me do this show. So there you go. Everybody benefits from that little update. Hey, if I wanted to send an HDMI signal via NDI, computer output, monitor output, etc., I'm thinking of a 4K Flex works perfectly for that, right? In that same idea, Play only decodes. So quickly, yes, Play does only decode. It is a NDI decoder. So if you want to show that on a screen or a monitor, you can show full NDI, or you can show an HX2 signal on the Play in the current firmware version. Remember that the Play is not a Flex. It's not an FPGA decode. It's an ARM process. And so that will be a bit different. That decode experience will be a little bit different than the performance that you're going to get out of a full NDI Flex unit, which is an FPGA decode. So know that there's a difference, but there's also a difference in price, right? So if you can put up with a little bit of latency, I wouldn't necessarily think that you would want to put Plays out for iMag purposes unless latency is not a problem for you. Like maybe you're wanting to show a production in the hallway and timing is not of the essence. That would be fine. But there is a difference between an FPGA decode and an ARM process. And you can see that because a lot of camera manufacturers are using the HX protocol to encode, and that introduces a lot of latency. So there you go. So to answer your second part of this question, though, if I wanted to send an HDMI signal via NDI, a computer output, or a monitor, I'm thinking a Flex would work perfectly. If your monitor has an output, yes. If your computer, if you don't need to see the the second screen, or if you're just copying the screen, yes, that would be fine. Be sure that you're planning to send the Flex, though, a native SMPTE resolution, so a 1080p or a 2160p 30 screen capture, which means that typically you would need to go in and set the computer screen to output that, because if you just plug in a Flex, it's going to think that it's looking for a camera, and it's not going to know what resolution you're sending it. And if it's anything other than a SMPTE 1080p or 2160p, even interlaced is fine, but you'd be hard-pressed to find an interlaced output on a computer. Be sure that you're sending it 1080p 60 or 30 or something standard that a camera would send, because that's what the Flex is really designed for. It can do screen capture. That's fine. One of the hacks that if you're going to use it for multiple machines, so say you're going to put the Flex under a podium and you're going to run an HDMI cable onto the podium, one of the hacks that we use is just an EDID pass-through, and you can buy those in various resolutions, and then it will always send the computer the signal to send me that specific that specific resolution. So in my instance, I have one that is 1080p 5994. I plug that into the Flex, and then I plug in the HDMI cable, and I run the HDMI cable from the Flex or from the EDID pass-through into the computer, and that forces every computer that I plug into that extension cord to send it a 1080p 5994 signal. So it always regulates it regardless, which is perfect. That's kind of what you want. We're looking at ways of doing this internally, so you don't need a pass-through to actually get that to work. But as of right now, in the current iteration of the firmware, some computers do it naturally and some computers don't. And so if you're going to put this in a hardline install where, again, different machines are going to plug in, you're going to use different machines to encode, you're probably going to want to standardize it and make sure that the computer always gets the same request every time. And those little pass-throughs are $15-20. They're not going to break the bank at the end of the day. Hi from Treasure Island, Florida. You're over in Florida right now? All right, this is something I have never heard of. Treasure Island, Florida. So let's find out where you're at. Okay, so you are you're over by Tampa. Wow, that's cool. Let's throw this up so that people can see where my Stockholm, Sweden friend is. He is currently in Treasure Island, Florida. Whoops, I don't like that when I add this to the stream, it doesn't automatically add it. So this is cool. Somewhere, it's probably some sort of resort in South Pasadena or near it. That's really cool. Beautiful part of the country, by the way. A little susceptible to storms that come across the ocean, but beautiful. It looks stunning, actually. You know, early in January, I am also going to be in Florida. I will be flying out on a Thursday and then coming back on a Monday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I have some similar views of the country, although what's the temperature like down there right now? I mean, this looks beautiful, but these shots are probably taken in the summer. So that's really cool, though. Well, enjoy Florida. Beautiful weather, some beautiful country, amazing beach front, and if you like to just take in the sunrises and sunsets, that's the place to be. That's for sure. Now, I won't be in Treasure Island, Florida. I'll be in Panama City Beach, which I have been to several years ago. I went down there for this same function, actually, and I've heard it's changed a little bit, and they also went through a hurricane a year ago, 2 years ago, right around the beginning of COVID. So they've had a rough go. Be interesting to see how they've rebuilt and how the economy is doing. But yeah, we'll be hanging out there for the weekend. It's 21 in, is this Kansas City? But we're looking at a negative 35 wind chill on Thursday night. Yep, it's going to sweep the country. I wonder what the overall weather is going to look like across the U.S. But yeah, Thursday is going to be a doozy. Thursday night, so hunker down, y'all. Hey, Dave, same up here in Milwaukee. Boom. There you go. Transmission, you're right. Exciting things are happening in the way of installs for corporate AV, but in our market, NDI allows us to rapidly deploy camera systems for corporate events in a variety of locations. See, I've always felt like that's one of the stories that needs to be told about NDI because it could make, I think that NDI, you make the initial investment for NDI, but then your profit margins get a lot wider because there's a lot less setup. There's a lot less technicality needed. Once it's rock solid and good to go, grab a 4250, set the DHCP reservations as per my instructions, and you can set up and take down probably in the 10th of the time that it would take you to do traditional camera setups. And it looks way cooler. It's way cleaner. It is a Sony broadcast lens, so it's very professional. You know, there's so many great things about NDI that just kind of go under the radar. And I think that NDI could do better in talking about those success stories and amplifying ways to do it that perhaps maybe get overlooked. We're considered the Midwest, John. See, I don't agree. I don't agree with you. The lake effect. Yeah, I used to have it when I was living in Rochester, New York. And you were in Southfield, Michigan? How long did you live there? That's like a stone's throw from here. That's crazy. NDI includes alpha channel if included in by the sender. It can. I mean, it's just you can't separate it out, right? Because BirdDog needs 1080p or 1080i or 2160, like it needs a standard SMPTE resolution. And when you do alpha, it's not that resolution. It's all wacky. It's all messed up. So if you output channel as a full, resolution with a clear background, essentially, yeah, it'll do alpha. And that's the way we were doing it back then. But people wanted key and fill, and that resolution is a lot smaller. And so we weren't able to actually do that consistently. We had -7 Celsius this weekend, and now it's +8. Yeah, Mother Nature can't make up her mind. Are you checking Facebook too? Am I checking Facebook in terms of what? I'm everywhere. Checking the chat, or give me a little more, like the audio maybe? Are you referencing the audio quality? I noticed the other day that Facebook, the audio on Facebook seemed to be delayed. No, it's lined up right now. It's a little strange, but I rewatched a show on Facebook, just part of it, because I'm that vain. And I noticed the audio was off in the recording version. But when I watch it on YouTube live and I double check, my other sources, everything seems to line up. But anyways, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin are all considered a part of the Midwest. Wrong. We are not West in this country. In this state, we are not in the West. Seattle is in the West. That's the West. We are not even in the mid. Look at the map of the United States and look at Michigan. It's not mid anything. Unless you're considering just east and west like a strip. It's like only Washington, only California, and then only New York and only South Carolina. Okay, maybe then we're in the mid states if the majority of the country is considered mid, but that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. PowerPoint NDI or ProPresenter NDI? I can't figure it out. And then Brayton gives Midwest states maps references for those of you who are over on Twitch if you need to get into it. Again, I just think you're wrong. I'm not saying that that's not what's considered, but I think you're wrong. Your API still has it might be worth removing out of API 1.0. Well, API 1.0 is done. There's a 2.0 now, right? So I'll look into it though. Maybe it's a prophecy of things to come. I don't know. I haven't heard. I'm not sure if you're checking Facebook comments, but it's 8 degrees Celsius here. Hey, Petra. Yes, I am checking Facebook. They do come through, which is good news. Last weekend it was 7, and I recall the lake effect from living in Rochester and Southfield, Michigan. Yes. Sorry, I'm a little slow on the chat today. Apparently, I got to catch up. Dante AVIO analog input adapter is a good option where you need Dante audio out of a legacy analog audio mixer. Boom, there you go. Hey, what's going on, Facebook user? I'll have to jump over there to find out who you are. But I think there's somebody over there named Paul, maybe? Is it Paul? Who is over on Facebook? Let's find out. Somebody keeps saying, hey, over, and their name never comes through, and then I check it out afterwards, and I always feel bad because I don't actually get to say who it is. It's Jose. What's going on, Jose? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for jumping on over on Facebook. Appreciate that. Do we need Dante licenses in this case as well? Do we need Dante license in this case as well? If you want to, wait, where are you here? GoWeb. Analog audio input, Dante audio out of a legacy. Well, what do you want to use it for? You want Dante audio out of your mixer? I don't see why you would need a license for that. You could just bring it into the controller and route it where you, depends on what you want to use it for, right? But like Dante Bridge, if you want to use Bridge to convert it over to NDI, then yes, you would need a Dante Bridge license to do that. Yeah, we needed some sun. I understand. Well, Florida is probably the place to find that. What would be the best way to de-interlace a 1080 i60 being encoded via Flex and into vMix? Have an older HD camera bringing into a 1080p project. I'm getting some weird stuff coming into vMix. There's no way to really do it, not with BirdDog products. We don't do like a resolution conversion. You might be able to do it with like a disseminator. Do they do interlace to progressive? I need one of those things, man. They're only a couple $100. I don't know why I don't have one, but anyway, it's not that BirdDog hasn't bought me one. It's that I've never thought to get one. But yeah, we definitely, I believe that they can convert signals over to something else, get it into So you go out of the camera into that unit and then convert it to progressive, and then out of that unit into a BirdDog device and then across to vMix in NDI. You just do it right there locally at the camera. That would probably be the way to do it, but I think those products are not crazy inexpensive. Let's see if I can find them here. Yeah. So depending on how are you coming out of the device, the HDMI, scaling and frame rate conversion. It's a built-in scaler, supports 3G level A and B, input and output, allows conversion between A and B. It does horizontal and or vertical image flipping if possible. It does cross conversion. The unit also down or up cross converts to allow either the HDMI. I should throw this up on the site. What am I doing? Present, screen share, Chrome tab, giggity goo, yoink, yoink, yoink. Okay, so this is the device that I'm talking about. Let me just read the definition here. It allows you to the HDMI or SDI input to be scaled and or frame rate converted to a required standard. Easy to use interface, blah, 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 blah. Distribution amplifier, HD, SDI outputs that allow it to be used for a 1-to-4 distribution amp. Output pair. Okay, so can I convert HDMI progressive to 25? Can I convert interlaced? That's really what I want to know, right? Any reviews? Preferred, yada, yada, yada. Default these devices. Here, I can configure. Our disseminators are now configured for 1080p 60 input to 1080i 5994 output. Boom, there you go. So this is the device that you're probably wanting to consider, something like this. Not necessarily this one, but if you've ever been to NAB, you know these dudes take out a ton in advertising, so they're all over the place. And we have used, I know BirdDog employees who have used these with fairly significant, good results. The nice thing is that you can take unconventional resolutions and convert them into conventional resolutions and then get them into a BirdDog device. So there's that. We don't do frame conversion like this. That's not what we do. We convert signals to NDI and back. That's our job. Ori splitters are the best for EDID. There you go, from GoWeb. He's a reliable source, so if he says so, I believe it. Are you familiar with Crestron NVX? Would it ever be possible to take a BirdDog wall plate to an NVX decoder? No, not. I'm not super familiar with NVX, first of all, but no, not in its current form. I know that. I'm going to go with no. I haven't heard it done. So I have to throw that out there that I don't know of a use case where that's been successfully done, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Please do, because that would be very helpful to my friend Kyle. Is there a BirdDog Anonymous Club? Just ordered 3 P120s. One has already been delivered, and a play. Considering a quad, I have a problem. A nice one, though. Is there an Anonymous Club? I mean, Discord. You can be anonymous there. There is a Discord channel which pops up here in the chat every now and then. But also, it's a good problem? Is problem the correct term for this? I don't know. I don't know if it's correct. But those P120s, I used to have one in here. I had a 110 in here for a while, but it's sitting in my office, actually. That's where it is. I was going to say, but the guys need to use it to test some stuff. But it's actually sitting in my office looking at Auburn Road, which I could share here in the chat. Let's see if I can pull it up without tanking the entire system here. Never mind, because I'm in a group on here. So we'll jump over to this one. Yoink. And let's pull up the P110. I know it's staring at the ceiling right now because when I left my office, I was like, that's weird. So it definitely was staring at the ceiling, and I can't reach it. So never mind. Well, anyways, enjoy those 120s. They're great. They're a great little camera, and they're definitely a step up from the 100 series. I mean, they are 100 series, but they're a step up from the P100. So I think you'll enjoy those. Worth the investment. We are the Great Lakes, rather than Midwest. Midwest is more Nebraska area. Preach. See, Kyle understands me. I knew I would like Kyle when he arrived. The Great Lakes area. Let's go with that. I like that. Because I'm from Toronto originally, and they're also in the Great Lakes area. So that kind of encompasses my whole residency radius. I've also experienced audio sync issues on Facebook recordings too. In your own recordings. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not convinced that Facebook Live is up to par with the rest of the streaming services out there, but we definitely get a lot of traffic from it, and so we want to use it. I think the live experience on Facebook is the best offering opposed to rewatching shows later. But for those of you who have to watch later, I totally understand. Sometimes you just can't make it. Sometimes you're asleep. Oh, I should tell you about my stuff last night I was up to. I wasn't sleeping for quite a while, and that was a doozy. But anyways, I'd be interested, Kevin, in hearing more if you tried to troubleshoot that, what you came around with. My comment about Facebook was because I noticed I was the only one on there, and I was a bit unsure. Understood. Yes, we do see those. You keep saying West. I know you can. They're not my choices. Yes, but you're supporting them, so they kind of are your choices. Don't blame the U.S. Census Bureau for your decisions. I'll send you a photo of our single cam pack sometimes, a P200, a desktop 4250. Oh, you found some of those, did you? I'm so anxious to get my hands on one of those. vMix laptop, Magic Arm, and a few shielded Cat 6 in a single low pro backpack. SDI cam owners hate it. So cool, man. What a great little jump pack. That's great. I like it. The Midwest came from the 1800s when, prior to the LA Purchase, the U.S. ended at the Mississippi. So everything past the Mississippi was basically the West. And by the late 1800s, and the U.S. had expanded to the Pacific, the Midwest was a part of the West, past the Mississippi. But it wasn't the distant West. So it was the, quote, Midwest. Disclaimer, I am not a historian, and I am not a voiceover guy. Hey, thanks, John. My pleasure, David. Thanks for coming by. Seminator Designs standard converters are aces, says Philip. Boom. Well, there you go. We got somebody that believes in it. Go Web. If I understand you correctly, and I think I do, then you won't need a Dante license. If I'm correct, only the manufacturer needs to get the Dante license. Yeah, like when you buy one of these I/O devices, that is the license. That's you buying a device and paying for the less one. They're so expensive. HDMI out from Cam. Was hoping it was possible in software. Disseminators are hard to find at the moment. Actually, that doesn't surprise me. I don't know of a. Actually, do I know of a program? Will Central do this now? Retransmitter? Maybe. Ooh, you know who might do this? One moment, please. Jump over to NDI Tools and see. We can go down this road real quick. Sorry if I start dropping frames. I'm running NDI Tools on my PC. Let's see. NDI Launcher. Still loading. I'll put this up on the big screen over here. And let's see. Test patterns, access, bridge, screen captures, studio. Could bridge do it? No, I don't think bridge would do it. Router? Maybe. Maybe. Let's load router. There might be a way to retransmit the signal, yeah, over PC. I need Jake on this show because he would be able to tell me if retransmitter would do it. If you could set, I don't know if you can set, do I have Central on here? Oh, I do have Central 2.0 on here. Hopefully I don't crash the system. Now I'm really asking it to do a lot. Okay, so router is, wait, is router open? There it is. So router Do I have the option? No, I cannot change the resolution in router. So, strike one. Central is now running. Let's open this home. See what happens here. Again, you're going to see drop frames because I'm asking this little. Yesterday, we were troubleshooting something with one of the engineers in Australia, and I was trying to load a website. No, I was trying to download some software so he could get into one of our devices. It was taking a really long time. Everything was taking a long time, and he said, "Hey, this might be a good opportunity for you to get a better machine." I said, "Oh, you don't say." All right, and this program is not launching, probably for various reasons, so I'm going to close. I will find out. Potentially Central. I don't know if you can set the resolution of that output retransmitter. Jake would be able to tell me if that's a possibility or not. But I don't know. Maybe. Maybe is the answer. We have lots of confidence for disseminators, though. Go Web, you'll only need a license to their software if you want to use the Dante Virtual Sound Card. And there you go. He says thanks. But you'll probably also need a DVS license if you want to bring the AVIO into a PC. Actual bird dog question. Kevin, always count on you to right the ship here. Recommendations for the P200 travel case. Jason cases are the only ones that I've found, and they look good, but I'm curious if there are other options out there without DIYing something. So there's no official bird dog case out there. There are 3D available prints for foam cutters, which I know a lot of people have used Pelican cases and then cut the foam to fit their fleet, and then they have, very specific cutouts for their cameras and their gear. And those are really slick if you want to invest a little bit in a carrying case. That's actually why we made the 3D renderings of the cameras available, so that you could have those foams kind of custom cut. But I know that's not what you're asking here. There isn't anything out there that's just kind of, just buy it and you can use this and it's already done. But it wouldn't surprise me if somebody didn't fire up. I don't know anything about Jason cases, so let me Google that real quick. Jason cases. Jason cases, travel, custom cases. Oh, they do like red. They do a bunch of stuff. Lenses, other. Audio, tripod, other. Do they have a camera section? Canon, monitors, power, sliders, matte boxes, drones, audio. I don't see. Let's see if they actually have like a bird dog option. That'd be cool. I mean, these are beautiful. Oh, look at that. Robo cases? Oh, you call them Robo? Come on, Jason. So yes, these are already done for you. Ooh, they have like pretty labeling and everything too. That's cool. That's actually really slick. This is obviously the quickest way to get this done, but you could probably have foam cut a whole lot cheaper than what this is. They are using Pelican cases. That's what they're using. So the 200 Robo case. I don't like that people call them RoboCams. Makes it sound like it's some sort of like Terminator movie. I do like the varying color options though, like the blue one. Why don't they have a bird dog green one? Come on. You got this. Bird dog green. Bird dog green. This is P200 Robo 4Cam case. It's cute, but please don't call them RoboCams. That's not what they are. I mean, they are robotic, but they're PTZs. Come on. Come on, get with the time. But yeah, Jason cases, that's something at least. That's something to start. It would probably be cheaper just to have the foam cut to your specifications. People do that all the time, and you just put in I make it sound like I do this, but you would send them the CAD drawings and say, I want the Pelican 1600 case cut with 2 of these cameras or whatever it is that you need. There you go. It would be helpful if HDMI comes with some kind of locking mechanism. SDI has it. They do make actually HDMI locking connectors, but not obviously on the Bird Dog product. But there are proprietary ones that you could build as an option. Same thing with EtherCon. That's so cool. I mean, it's a nerd's dream. Basically, it's a sleeve over an Ethernet jack that you use for audio. That looks a lot like an XLR end. Um, yeah, so it kind of looks like this. It's a little XLR end, but inside is an Ethernet jack, and then it has that little tooth on there that locks. Allegedly, that's what's on Core 7, our Bird Dog product, the locking Ethernet jack, so it can't be yanked out. Break that little plastic tab on the end of every Ethernet jack that always ends up breaking off, especially the cheap ones. But yes, I agree. The problem with HDMI breaking, getting pulled out, is a real deal. And I think the AV world, there are some options out there, but it hasn't been widely adopted, and that's what it needs to get to. Buy your own Pelican case. Get a local packaging company to custom laser cut the foam. There are surprising a lot of companies that will do that for you. Agreed. And then Kevin says, here's the Jason cases, the RoboCam 200s. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. It's okay. I just don't care for the term RoboCam. Hey, it's 12 o'clock. We made it through the first hour. Thanks for riding along, everybody. I really appreciate that. Hopefully you're enjoying the chat. And thanks. This coffee has picked me up. Okay, so here's the story from last night. So last night, we did some wrapping of some gifts. We got some family coming into town. Obviously, Christmas is coming up. We have some of our gifts for our kids and whatever. We're getting those wrapped up last night, watching Home Alone on the telly, and the first one, Home Alone 1. So we're taking a different approach this year, and we're using a little bit of time in the evenings to wrap gifts instead of procrastinating and waiting until the night before. And so we're wrapping some gifts and getting things ready, and then it was really late. And we decided to go to bed. Home Alone ended, and we decided, okay, let's be done. And we go up to bed, and I'm laying in bed. I'm checking through some things on my phone. And I brush my teeth, use the bathroom, all set to go. And I'm putting my phone down on my nightstand, and I pick it up because I was like, oh, I got to tell the house to go into night mode. I automate my house. Shocker. I pull down, and my notifications show that I have messages, multiple messages on Teams. But my phone is in Do Not Disturb, so I'm not getting any of these, right? So I click on the Teams thing, and it's messages from my guys at HQ saying, hey, can you jump online real quick? We got a problem with some of our accounts. And nobody knows kind of what's going on, so I was like, okay, hang on, I'll get on. Get into my office, turn on my computer, fumble around in the dark, whatever. Well, about an hour later, we had sorted out that we had some licenses expire. Nothing, nothing that would make us nervous in terms of being hacked or anything. But we just had some licenses expire, and they didn't renew, and so some of the accounts got shut, like put in suspended mode. Anyways, we sorted out the payment, but it took us about 45 minutes to an hour to do. So then it was like almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was hoping to get up and actually do a little bit of shopping this morning before I had to come to work, but instead, I didn't get to bed then until about 2:30, and let's just say I didn't wake up with the alarms, and my wife eventually woke me up and said, hey, you got to get going here. So I got up, came in a little bit later today because we had to take care of some stuff for the HQ guys. But anyway, so all is well. Nothing like a little fire to put out in the middle of the night. And one of my roles is to help with the technical stuff. And so it was time to do the job, But everybody was very appreciative, and they understood. They were surprised that I was willing to get up. Of course I'd get up. I'd help out. That's no problem. But it was quite the wake up call, that's for sure. Because I told Pav, I was like, literally, I was turning on my phone to hit the good night button, and I saw your message, and lucky I did, because they would have been out all day. They're asleep now, so they would have been waiting 24 hours for that fix, and then I would have been waiting for them to wake up to find out, did it work? So glad it's all taken care of. That's for fun. Fun fact, the P200 3D file download zip has P400 files. Are they the exact same body? They are. The only difference on the tail end is the P400 has an extra SDI output because of the onboard Genlock, which isn't enabled. But everything else is exactly the same. Those two cameras are identical. Never mind. If I read the README file, I got my answers. Well, and you got your answer here. So all good. Well, it is the second last show of the year, and there's a lot going on here at Bird Dog. The agents are busy like elves trying to get the tickets replied to and closed out before the end of the year. You do need to be aware, if you're new to the show, that we will be closed for the week after Christmas. So from the 25th all the way through to the 31st, we are closed, and we will reopen on the Tuesday because New Year's is observed on the 2nd this year. We'll be reopened on the 3rd of January. Now, I saw a typo in the new ticket creation reply. When you open a ticket, you get an auto response saying, here's your ticket number. We got your message. You've successfully submitted a ticket. But in there, it also said that we were reopening on January the 2nd, and that is false. We are opening on January the 3rd. So please be conscious of that. We will be closed for a week. The agents will be with their families and friends during the holiday season, and we will reopen to help you again on the 3rd. So please do whatever you can to not have an emergency during that week. Because we all know that emergencies are planned, and we all know that's how that works in real life, right? So we get it. I'm also going to say something controversial. Don't do any updates during that week. Just let sleeping bears lie. Sleeping dogs lie? Sleeping bears lie? Depends on where you're from, I guess. I'm Canadian. We have bears. Anyways, if you are going to do an update, do it right now. And that means that you have 2 days to have support give you help. But after Thursday, we shut down. And on Friday, we are closed. And so Thursday, we'll be wrapping things up. Friday is the day before the holiday week, and so Friday we are closed, which is the 23rd, and then we're closed until the 3rd of January. So we will be with our folks and our families during that time and not thinking about work, and you will not hear from us. So, including Twitter. Twitter will be unattended during that time on the Bird Dog Help. Hey, did you know that we have that Bird Dog Support has a way for you to reach us on Twitter? If you didn't know this, this is a recent development, and it's a super fast way to tweet at us if you're having an issue. We can direct message you back instructions or help you there, or we might actually instruct you to get a proper email set up, a ticket set up so we can communicate in long form. But if you just have something quick, or you think it's quick and you just want to tweet at us real quick, you can hit us up at help_BirdDogTV, and we can try and give you a hand. Those requests go into our support system, which is attended from 9 to 5 here in the U.S. generally. So it will go in as a ticket, but we can tweet back to you through Twitter. So that's pretty exciting, and it's a nice, accessible way. What I really like is that you can tweet at us, from your social media account. You can just shoot us a quick message. Hey, I'm seeing this. Is there a quick way to fix this? And we can reply back to you. And that's really handy and helpful. And hopefully you find that a convenience, a way to ask for support quickly without needing to open an official ticket. Now, if it's a big, long process, we're probably going to get you to open an actual ticket. But yes, that is the plan as of right now, is to enable this channel to kind of work with you a little bit more directly. There's a few little glitches we still got to work out. We got to talk to our CRM company about that, but that's not for you to worry about. That's for me to worry about. So. True. I'm planning on having an emergency. I'm planning my emergency for next Tuesday. Excellent. Well, you're going to be on your own if that's the case. Twitter might not even exist by then, so there's that. That'll be curious. I don't think Twitter's going anywhere, to be honest with you, from what I'm seeing. All the big guys that backed out and said, we're not going to promote on this platform anymore, are all back. So a lot of posturing, I think, at this point. Anyways, it'd be interesting. It will be interesting to see what happens with Twitter over the next few months. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about all that right now. It's clearly very active. Very active. I've never seen Twitter more active, to be honest with you, with things that. Anyways, I'm very interested to see what happens. But everybody has their interpretations as to how it's going, I guess. And I do see contradicting tweets from various people, and this place is dying, and then this place is alive, and it's like, wait, which is it? I don't know. And how do we even quantify it, right? Do we request stats from Twitter? Isn't that a conflict of interest? Is there a third party that can actually show traffic? I don't know. Anyway, that'd be fun to find out. That's for sure. Be fun to watch it unfold. Where are we here? I was going to do something over here. Now I can't remember what it was. Oh well, must have been important because I've forgotten completely. Good stuff. And thanks for coming along for a ride, everybody. This has been a great little chat. Now, don't forget, on Thursday, we're going to hang out with a few Bird Dog guys on the show. We're going to utilize StreamYard for that, and so hopefully there'll be at least a couple of guys. They've already confirmed that they'll join me, so unless something has come up, we'll see you guys on Thursday at 11 o'clock, and you'll see a few other shining faces other than just my own. You get to interact with them. They can answer questions in real time. There'll be salespeople. There will be at least salespeople. There'll be support people. I'm going to see if anyone's available over in Australia, but I do know that several of the engineers and the executives will be away for Christmas starting in the next day or two, so they may not even be available. So we shall see how that goes. What's going on, Fred? Using Cam Control 3. Control 3, okay, yeah. With my P200, any tips or tricks for helping with the auto camera tracking? It seems very hit or miss right now. It's very subjective to your installation. So I've had great success with Cam Control 3.0 with auto tracking, using 3+ cameras, 3 or 4 cameras all at once. The trick is tuning it before your venue starts. So whatever it is that you're using it for, being sure that you have I do have some suggestions about it, but in particular, the vertical error correction and the horizontal error correction, those need to be greater than the 0.1 value. Probably 2 or 3 if you're doing a bust shot or a waist shot or something like that, where somebody's going to be walking across a stage. That probably needs to be about 0.3 for the error correction, which means that the person can shift their weight without the camera adjusting. The other thing is the speed. It's called gamma control for some reason. I don't understand why, but the gamma needs to be altered. It's probably a little too fast for casual walking during presentation. So that needs to come down. I think the default is 0.6, and I think that needs to come down into the 0.3, 0.4 range to really make it seem a little more natural and not like very mechanical camera, like buzzing over to the zone when it hits that error correction threshold. So I would really suggest that you play around with it a little bit and kind of get the feel for it before you go live. The other piece that you need, everything needs to be on the latest firmware. First of all, that's just out of the gates. Everything has to be functioning on the latest firmware. But then that auto tracking function, you need to have administrative rights on the computer that you're using. So if you have a computer that's owned corporately, or like a school owns it, or there's a good chance of a GPO being inflicted on the restrictions of that computer, you need to get a different machine that's not limited to corporation oversight, mostly because you're going to need full admin control. And even if you have administrative privileges on the machine, you really need to be functioning with the ability to run as admin, put in the admin credentials, but also your account should be administrator. The software is written with the assumption that you have full control of this machine, that it's not restricted in any way. And I know that seems kind of like, well, why would you do that? But you can't really program for every contingency. And until they get the Microsoft certification, stamp of approval where it gets offered in the download store, which is something that we're looking at, although we've been looking at it for quite a while. Yeah, we definitely need to get that thing kind of like get a certificate so that the admin thing is not a problem. But in the meantime, it assumes that you flat out own the computer, you're the administrator, and your account is the administrator, so that you have full bypass of the Windows firewall. So much so that you should be able to turn off all firewalls and virus programs and everything and strip it down if needed. Because Cam Control functions over ports on your network, and traditionally, an IT department, honestly, doing its job, will close all ports on networks and then open the certain ones that it needs. It won't allow all ports and then close. It goes the opposite way. It goes to the full extreme of shutting everything down and then opening up services for programs. So then the question is, well, what ports do I need? Well, it uses a range of ports. And anytime you go to an IT department and say, okay, I need this and this and this and this and this and this and this for my computer, they're going to go, no, thank you. That's a huge risk. So instead, we strongly recommend the computer being pretty much your own and being unrestricted, and then finessing it a little bit so that you can get more granular understanding as to how it works, make the changes, and then hit payload update and see how it behaves then. It's always recommended to maybe test it out before, like on a service that you don't need it for. See how it goes, play around with it, get a feel for it, and then use it live. But I can confidently tell you that I have used Cam Control 3.0 with 3 cameras all running at the same time, all tracking at the same time, all at different focal lengths. And it looks quite natural. It looks like there have been instances where the camera moves a little too fast or whatever, or the presenter on stage like puts his back to the audience, which is a nightmare. Then the camera loses the facial recognition. So there are some catches, but it does save you from needing to hire 3 cameramen, that's for sure. Yes, that is for sure. You don't like Elon Musk? I didn't say that. I just said it was going to be interesting to see what happens. I think it'll be interesting. But I didn't say I don't like him. He's an engineer at heart. You can tell by the way he functions. He's definitely an engineer. Thursday will be fun. I totally agree with you. We find that monitoring and adjusting the auto tracking is a skill in itself. Once you've practiced, have a feel for it, your show is going to be a whole lot easier. I would agree with that. There is a bit of a learning curve. But once you get the hang of it and you understand, like running a show that does live tracking is an art form in itself. But one of the things that you have to get used to is being very conscious and aware of how the person on stage is presenting. Because I have had multiple people presenting on stage that behave differently. One guy never walks. And so having auto tracking is kind of like a liability, because if he turns his back to the audience, all the cameras are going to start looking for faces. But I've had other, presenters who walk a lot. They never stay near the podium or near their notes or whatever, and they're constantly moving around the stage. And so tracking is like working overtime, and it would be almost impossible to use a keyboard with 3 cameras and keep up with him and have like tangible multiple shots. So it's really a matter of understanding that's why I say it's a little subjective, because you really need to understand, first of all, what is it that you're trying to produce? Second of all, what is the feel? What is the feel of the show? Second of all, what's the feel of what's being done? Like, why are you using tracking? And so if it's an energetic type of presentation, that's going to be a faster pan. You're going to want to keep up in a more live environment. If it's a more like methodical, maybe it's some, a preacher who's giving a deep sermon, or he's, going into stuff that's not very engaging, if you will. We can say that, right? Maybe this topic is not particularly engaging. It's going to change the way that you, as the camera controller, operate. And so there is a bit of an art form to it, and understanding, okay, if I make these changes, this is what it's going to do to my cameras, and this is the tempo of the service, and this is the tempo of what it is that we're trying to produce. This is how we want our audience to engage, in that, in this content. And so there's a few questions that really need to be asked, and tangibly asked before you can just say, how do you use it? It's like all things. Well, how do you want to use it? Like, what are you going for, right? So, it is a bit of an art form, but it's good stuff. In a church setting with a long zoom shot on a pastor, occasionally will lock onto a non-moving item in the background, a guitar, and not follow a slow-moving person. So you can toggle between the facial recognition. Don't use fallback in this situation. Use either the face recognition or the full body recognition and see which works better. I find in a tight shot on a preacher who's going to slowly walk across stage, you're going to want to use the facial recognition thing, but you kind of have to see what works what works best for you, because your environment will be different than mine. And for example, an instrument is going to be on low on the stage and out of the shot from me, whereas if your camera is up and down, you might catch all the instruments in the shot and other things on stage. I don't find that it normally locks on to instruments. What I find the issue is that it locks onto, like, if the worship team comes back on stage, then it doesn't know who to lock onto because there's a whole bunch of faces. That's mostly my problem. And normally, then I take manual control over it. If I've got multiple faces on the stage, then I've got to run things manually. Auto tracking also needs a pretty decent lighting to be solid. I would agree with that 100%. Lighting is everything. I mean, it plays a huge role. It's almost as vital as sound. But lighting is a big deal to making your video work well, and tracking needs to be able to recognize what is a face and what isn't. So perhaps it's a lighting issue, Fred. Maybe that's what's going on here. Does more CPU help with tracking? It doesn't seem to max out currently, but I'm running it on the same PC that, I'm running vMix. Yeah, I always recommend BirdDog software run on an independent machine. It doesn't chew up a lot of CPU, Cam Control, but it would be difficult to jump between vMix and Cam Control and make it all work together quickly. Hopefully you've got at least multiple screens, if that's the case. I just walked in from the other room. I'm sorry if that's irrelevant. No, you're good. That's very relevant, and I didn't even mention lighting, so there you go. I'm almost through my cup of coffee, folks. That means that the show has to wrap up. And I'm trying to drink it fast enough where the cream doesn't curdle. Almost done. Well, this is all very, very relevant and great topic to cover on an NDI show. Yeah, I've actually had great results with Cam Control, so I would advise you to keep at it because it brings another level to the production. I'm actually moving cameras, and this is why people have manned cameras. Moving cameras and tracking a subject is far more engaging than switching between static shots, hands down. And obviously, when we introduce motors into cameras, the next iteration of this would be to automate it, because you want to be able to move the cameras with the subject without needing to spend manpower on it. And so that's the purpose of Cam Control. Now remember, 3.0 is our first stab at auto tracking. And so hopefully it'll only get better from there. But it does take a little bit of time to learn. But once you get it, then it really becomes more of you're switching on one hand and you're monitoring with the other. And so if something goes wrong with one of your cameras, you can switch off to a static shot or to something else that's behaving. That's what I liked about the 3-camera setup with Cam Control, is all 3 of them were tracking. And if I ever had actually I didn't in that instance, but if I ever had an issue where one of the cameras wandered off or wasn't working correctly, I could switch to a different shot fairly quickly and make that happen and make it look more intentional, at least recover from a mistake. One of the things, though, that I've been playing around with a lot more is transitions. So transitions obviously help paint a story, right? So there was one day where we were playing around with this a bit, and the sermon, the guy was being followed with the cameras, and we were fading between shots, and a fairly quick fade just to kind of keep the tempo of the show up. But then the show. So, but then he interviewed somebody for a part of an announcement. And instead of doing a fade between the two, I did bust shots on both of them. So basically this shot that you're looking at. And I would cut between them. So when the conversation was happening, I would wait for about 1 or 2 words of the sentence to make sure that that sentence was going to be longer than 1 or 2 words. And I would cut over. And that created a very back and forth conversation feel. And it was much quicker. It changed the feel of the video of what we were producing a fair bit. And something as simple as transitions between the shots can help you keep the tempo of something that's feeling like that's kind of dragging and going slow. Using a quick cut is like that, can help the tempo stay up instead of using a fade transition. And, when I start and finish the show, I use a fade because we'd fade into a video and then we go out. Or we fade after the countdown, we fade into a video and then I fade into the show and then the show begins. But then I'm using cuts generally between these cameras, and that helps kind of keep the tempo of the show moving forward. And that's not really a BirdDog thing. That's not really anything. It's just how you're mapping out what the show will look like. And so fading will slow the tempo of the viewer down, whereas cutting will speed it up, or will keep the tempo up at least. Anyways, it's really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised the CPU could have an adverse effect. Low CPU availability interrupts NDI processing, and if the NDI process is interrupted, I would expect to see interruptions in your auto tracking. That's the thing, though, is that we're only really touching the metadata and the proxy stream with Cam Control 3. So we're not pulling down a lot of NDI data. We're actually just manipulating the metadata. for the most part. I mean, we're watching the stream, right? It shows you the preview, but that's proxy. And only if you're running dual monitors on a Cam Control 3.0 computer and you click on the preview, does it show the full view of that stream. So I don't know. I don't find Cam Control super CPU hungry, but I also don't like running it on the same machine that's doing a vital process like vMix. I do have non-optimal lighting on stage, so I guess that's my issue. Well, it could contribute to part of the issue, and to be fair, a lot of churches have non-optimal lighting. Like, that's kind of par for the course. So that might be contributing to that problem, but yes, better lighting will always help. And you can get away with not breaking the bank necessarily on at least getting started with good lighting or better lighting on stage. The cameras can always dial down the lighting. They can't necessarily dial up the lighting. You can always get less. You can always have too much light and dial it down. But you can't necessarily make a bad shot better by increasing the gain. That will just introduce a bunch of other problems. I think auto tracking is evolving technology, and a lot of work needs to be done on it. The best is to use it on a podium setup with one presenter moving across the stage. Yeah, and that's primarily what I have used it for in the wild, is that, one presenter on stage. If you have dueling presenters, you can just instruct them, hey, you have left stage, you have right stage, don't cross. And then it should operate independently and work just fine. And that would give you a great ability to follow and, keep shots tight. You could also do 2 cameras on each if you had the flexibility. Okay, folks, it's 12:30, and so I need to probably wrap this up, but it has been a blast. And this is officially the second last show of the year. On Thursday, please plan to join us for a special show where we will invite other Bird Dog members of this organization to join us at 11 o'clock Eastern Time here in the U.S. to have a little end-of-the-year chat. And you can bring your questions. You can give your shout-outs, whatever you want to do on this show. We can definitely walk you through some of that. It's still an NDI support show, so if you have last-minute questions before the year is done, but literally that afternoon, we're shutting down the support office for a week. So we will be back on January the 3rd, after the new year. And we will have a show on January 3rd, the first of 2023. I'm looking really forward to that. And that will be a great time to see you again. But Thursday is our final show. So please make best effort to join us. We will have a lot of fun on that show. And I think some of the guys have purchased spicy popcorn. I have not been able to get that. And so I will unfortunately miss out. But I think if Monty's going to be on the show, he might have some spicy popcorn that he's going to try. Don't forget to join me, though. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to birddogjohn.tv. That's my YouTube channel. For everything that happens here on the support show, gets sent there, for sure, 100%. Anything that we record, especially through StreamYard, will go to that channel. And we're growing that channel slowly so that you can hang out with us over there. So that we have a DNS redirect for birddogjohn.tv. That spits you out to my YouTube channel. And that is really cool stuff. So join us over there. Don't forget to join us on Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time for that show. A couple of quick reminders, though. Twitter, we have a way to tweet at the support department, 9 to 5 Eastern Time here in the U.S. That is at help_birddogtv. And if you send us a message on there, we should be able to, it'll show up as a ticket in our system, and my agents will be able to respond to you with, if you got a quick question or something like that. That's a quick way to get in touch with us. Of course, the traditional way is help@birddog.tv. This is a great way to email us, get an official ticket open if you've got a deeper problem, you're seeing networking issues or problems with cameras or converters or whatever. This is the main line into our system where I've got multiple agents who are standing by to answer your questions. So please, please, please utilize the help desk. We're here to help you, and that is always great. But if you have a pre-production question, you haven't purchased a product yet, and you want to know what the Bird Dog product can do, our pre-sales team is much bigger than the support department, and they are amazing, and they will help you sort out your hopes and dreams when it comes to integrating Bird Dog NDI with your vision for the future and for whatever it is that you're planning out. And we have agents, we have pre-sales guys all over the world. And so if you're coming in from the Middle East, if you're coming in from Asia, if you're coming in from the U.S. or for South America, if you've got questions in Australia, if you've got questions over in Europe or in the UK or whatever, we've got people that are close to your neighborhood, not just here in Michigan and not just in Australia. And so feel free to send hello@birddog.tv an email if you've got questions about, hey, I want to learn more about this product, or I have this idea. How does BirdDog fit in? What are my options? And those pre-sales guys can help you sort out those plans, but also get you in touch with someone to help you buy BirdDog products. So hit up hello@birddog.tv. Those guys are great at what they do. Super great guys. And we're going to talk to some of them on Thursday. So that should be fun. All right. Hey, it's great shows throughout the year. Keep it up in 2023. That is the plan, Go Web. Hopefully you can join us for a whole bunch more. And I'm looking forward to having some time to be with you and to get to share more about what BirdDog's up to. And as events and whatever come along, hopefully we'll get a chance to even shake hands and say hello. So that's it for me, everybody. Take care of yourselves. It is that wonderful time of the year. I haven't said it before, and I will say it today and on Thursday, but Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a wonderful New Year. Looking forward to being with you during that time. We will be back on Thursday for the final show, and I encourage you to follow. So on the Bird Dog John YouTube page, that show is already booked. It's scheduled, so you can hit notify me, and YouTube will let you know however they let you know that we're going live. That show will be at least for an hour, and we'll have various conversations with Bird Dog guys on there. But yes, we're looking forward to 2023 and all the things that comes along with that. And so join us as often as you can. You're certainly welcome here to be a part of our community. But take care of yourselves, stay healthy out there, and of course, look after each other, as that tends to also be something that regularly gets overlooked in this world. And so hopefully, let me figure out here what I'm doing. All right, yeah, so hopefully you will have a great end to the year. We look forward to sharing more of that with you in the coming days. Be well. Take care. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye, guys.
Resistance is futile.